Welcome, valued viewers, to a journey of linguistic enrichment. Today, we embark on a captivating exploration through intriguing English narratives designed not only to entertain but also to elevate our language skills. Each story we delve into holds the power to enhance our English proficiency while simultaneously offering valuable insights and knowledge. Join us on this educational odyssey and subscribe to our channel to ensure you never miss out on the opportunity to enrich your mind and expand your linguistic horizons.
Story 1, Mother's Intuition. I looked at the clock. It's almost 4 o'clock. It's time for me to leave the hospital. I have been here regularly since my child was hospitalized. When Lisa had a lingering cold, I took her to the hospital and the pediatrician heard her irregular heartbeat. Maybe it won't be anything serious, he reassured me, but I think she should be examined carefully. 2 days later, my husband and I, along with our 4 children, took Lisa to the doctor in Denver. We planned to combine fun on this trip, like visiting a museum and then stopping by a restaurant for lunch. But in the end, our whole family had to eat at the hospital cafeteria while waiting for the results of Lisa's electrocardiogram and chest X-ray. Finally, the doctor told us that Lisa's condition was called patent ductus arteriosus. Before a baby is born, blood circulates through the lungs. But when the baby is born and begins to breathe, this temporary blood vessel must close. He explained, with Lisa, it's not like that, so blood containing oxygen cannot reach the body. She needs surgery. I was really scared by this information. But once again the doctor reassured me, saying that this condition is quite common. Lisa was admitted to the hospital and surgery was scheduled for the following week. When we heard about Lisa's condition, our close friends helped us a lot. They bought gifts and helped us take care of our 4 remaining children. From then on, I kept going back and forth between my home and the hospital. Every night, after Lisa falls asleep, I drive home, and then at 5 a.m., I'm with my baby before he wakes up. With such a schedule, I can hardly take care of the remaining 4 children and have to entrust it to my husband.
Today my husband, a basketball coach, has a competition so he can't pick up the kids for dinner. With the encouragement of the nurses, I agreed to leave the hospital early. I looked at the clock again. Exactly 4 p.m. If I don't leave here soon, I might get stuck in traffic because it's the weekend. I know I should go, but something keeps me lingering.
Yes, just 5 or 10 minutes won't have any effect. At 4:05. I sang some familiar songs to Lisa. At 4:10, I adjusted the shutters and watered the plants on the windowsill. At 4:15, I knelt down to start Lisa's music box. The baby doesn't seem very healthy. My child's lips look a bit blue, and her breathing is short. Alarmed, I rang the alarm. A nurse ran over. She patted my shoulder and said, "Your child is fine. You need to go home with the older kids. We will take good care of Lisa." I know she made a mistake. I immediately ran to the nurse's office. "Please come check," I begged. "What's wrong with my child?" One girl looked up. "Don't worry. We just checked on the baby. I'm completely fine." Later, someone from the next shift will come to check on the baby again as soon as we finish the report. Just go home and don't worry about anything. At that time, I was really excited. "Someone help," I shouted while running along the hospital lobby. The cardiologist's office is located away from the patient room area. The doctor's secretary jumped up and tried to stop me when I suddenly opened the door and rushed in. But I was able to grab the doctor's hand. "You have to come with me now," I sobbed. "No one listens to me, and my child is dying, doctor." "You're too stressed," the doctor said. "But okay, I'll go with you." And I just pulled him running across the hall. With just one look at my haggard little girl, the doctor rushed into action. Immediately, the whole room was filled with doctors and nurses. In the corner of the room, where I hid myself to make room for them to examine Lisa, I was really panicked, and heard them talking to each other. "Low heart rate. Surgery now." Luckily it was discovered in time, otherwise she probably can't survive. Thanks to my reluctance to return immediately and that timely discovery, my child was saved. It was truly a miracle. Story 2, 4 Fingers. At birth, the boy was blind. When he was 6 years old, something happened that he couldn't explain to himself. One afternoon, while he was playing with his friends, another boy threw a ball at him. Suddenly the boy shouted, "Watch! The ball is about to hit you." The ball hit him, and his life was no longer the same. The boy wasn't in pain, but he was really worried. He decided to ask his mother. How did he know what was going to happen to me before I realized it myself? His mother sighed. Because the moment she feared had come. The first moment came when she needed to clearly tell her son, "You are blind." Very gently, she held her child's hand, holding each finger and counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These fingers are like your 5 senses. This little finger is for hearing, this pretty finger is for touching, this tiny finger is for smelling, and this tiny finger is for tasting. After a moment's hesitation, she continued, "And this tiny finger is looking. Each of your senses is like each finger. They carry messages to your brain." Then she folded his finger, and named it, "Look." Clasping it tightly in her child's palm, she said, "Son, you are a different child from other children, because you only have 4 senses, like only 4 fingers. 1, hear, 2, touch, 3, smell, 4, taste. You cannot use your sense of sight. Now I want to show you this. Stand up, son." He stood up. The mother picked up the ball and said, "Now put your hand in a position to catch the ball." He opened his palm and in an instant he felt the hard ball touch his fingers. He grabbed the ball tightly and raised it high. "Good, good," the mother said. "I want you to never forget what you just did. You can also hold up the ball with your 4 fingers instead of 5. You too can have and keep a fulfilling and happy life with only 4 senses instead of 5 if you approach life with regular effort." The boy never forgot the image of 4 fingers instead of 5. For him it was a symbol of hope, and every time he feels discouraged because of his shortcomings, he remembers this symbol to encourage him. He realized that what his mother had said was right. You can still create a fulfilling life, and keep it with just the 4 senses you have. Story 3, The Scar. A boy invited his mother to attend his first parent-teacher meeting in elementary school. What he feared came true. His mother accepted. This was the first time the friends and homeroom teacher met the boy's mother. He was very ashamed of his mother's appearance, although she was also a beautiful woman, with a large scar covering nearly the entire right side of her face. The boy never wanted to ask why his mother had such a big scar. At the meeting, everyone had a very nice impression of the mother's gentleness and natural beauty, despite the scar that caught their eyes. But the boy was still embarrassed, and hid himself in the corner to avoid everyone, where he heard his mother talking to the teacher. How did you get such a scar on your face? The boy's teacher asked. The mother replied, when my child was little, he was in his room when the fire broke out. Everyone was scared and didn't dare to go in because the fire was so high, and so I ran in. The mother replied, when my child was little, he was in his room when the fire broke out. Everyone was scared and didn't dare to go in because the fire was so high, and so I ran in. When I ran to him, I saw a beam. The house was falling on him, and I quickly covered him with my body. I was beaten until I fainted, but luckily, thanks to the firefighter, he saved both me and my child. Mother touched the wrinkled scar on her face. This scar can no longer be cured, but to this day, I have no regrets about what I did. At this point the boy ran out of his hiding place towards his mother, tears in his eyes. He hugged his mother and felt her sacrifice for him. He held her hand tightly all day. 4. Father and Son. One day, a rich father took his son to the countryside to show him how the poor people lived. They went to the farm of the second poorest family in the area. This is a way to teach children to respect those whose lives are more miserable than ours. The father thought it was a good practical lesson for his little child. After staying and learning about life here, they returned home. On the way home, the father looked at his son and smiled. How was the trip? That's great, Dad. You have seen how poor people live. Oh, yes. So what did you learn from this trip? The child did not hesitate. You see, we have one dog, they have 4. Our house has a swimming pool that goes to the middle of the yard, and they have an endless river. We have to hang lanterns in the garden, they have twinkling stars at night. If our porch only reaches the front yard, they have the whole horizon. We have a piece of land to live on, and they have rolling fields. We must have people serving, and they must serve others. We have to buy food, and they grow it. We have protective walls around us, and they have neighbors to protect each other. At this point the father did not say anything. Dad, I already know how poor we are, the boy added. Many times we forget what we have and only ask for what we don't have. There are also things that are not valuable to one person but are desirable to another.
That depends on each person's perspective and assessment. Please don't worry too much about what you don't have and forget what you do have, even though they are very small.
5. Parents. Dear, when we get old, try to be patient and understand us. If we eat and drink poorly, if we have difficulty even eating and wearing clothes, please be tolerant. Remember the days and hours that we spent with you, to teach you many things, when you were young. If we keep repeating the same thing hundreds of times, never interrupt us, just listen. When you were a child, you often wanted your parents to read the same story, over and over again every night until you fell asleep, and your parents did it for you. If we can't wash themselves regularly, don't scold us, and don't consider it a shame. Remember, when you were little, how many excuses did your parents have to make to comfort you, before bathing? When you see your parents' lack of understanding, in today's modern civilized life, don't be disappointed but give them time to learn. Parents have taught their children many things, from what to eat, what to wear, to how to cope with many challenges in life. If we are forgetful or don't remember everything you said, give us some time to reflect, and in case we can't remember, don't get upset and angry because of that. Because the most important thing for us is to be able to see you, be close to you, and hear you speak. That's all. If we don't want to eat, don't force us, because we know when we're hungry or not. When our legs can no longer stand as firmly as before, help us. Hold our hands as if we were helping you take your first steps in life. And a day like a day will come, we will tell you we don't want to live, we want to say goodbye and leave. Don't be resentful and sad, because you will understand and sympathize with us when the time will come for you. Try to understand and accept that when getting old, living will no longer be useful to society but will only be a burden to family, and living is just the word, survival. One day when you grow up, you will understand that, with so many mistakes, who doesn't make them, we still put in the effort to build a peaceful path for you. You should not feel sad and do not think that you are helpless in the face of your parents aging. You just need to be present with us to share what we are living and sympathize with us, as we have done for you, since you were born.
Please help us every step of the way. Please help us in the remaining minutes of life with love and patience. The only remaining way that parents want to thank their children is with a smile and the love left behind in their children. I love you so much, parents.